This is the Sons of UCF, the number one place for UCF sports, with your distinguished host, Adam.
If you have time, are you eating Oreos under the gun usually? What do you mean?
And Mike.
When are they going to call this time out, Mike?
Now, here are the guys.
All right, we are your Sons of UCF, and this is the 149th episode of the Sons of UCF show. My name is Adam, and as always, my friend and yours, Mr. UCF Mike 1, back well-rested from a much-needed vacation during the bye week. Mike, welcome back. Welcome to the show. Welcome to episode 149. How you feeling, my friend?
I feel great, and happy Sons Day, too. Today is National Sons Day. Did you know that?
I did. I saw you, yeah.
Is that in honor of us? Because that's a new one. I never heard of that holiday before.
Well, Daughter's Day was the other day as well, so they're packaging them in. Did you get your kids any gifts? Because my kids were disappointed when there was nothing under the tree that we don't have, by the way, for Sons or Daughter's Day. Did you get your kids any gifts?
No, they had no idea that it was Daughter's Day the other day, and I had no idea until after it was over. I don't have any sons, so no. But I did take them on vacation, so they got that.
Well, yeah, so my 14-year-old's a little too smart. She has the TikTok. So she came out, she was like, hey, it's Daughter's Day. What'd you guys get me? And I was like, enjoy the roof over your head. And I figured that was going to be enough, but apparently it's not. And so now she won't get as Mother's or Father's Day gifts. So it's a war of attrition here at the Eaton household. But that notwithstanding, Mike, it's been a bye week. It was a good week to unplug. Obviously, a lot happening, inside of UCF. We'll be sure to cover it all for you on the slate for this evening. Obviously, we'll end with Cow of the Week as always. Mike's picks are back. I feel like we struggled this week, so we may be in for a bit of a rough turn. Who knows? We'll tell you Sunday's headlines today. Mike has got his own UCF observations that have nothing to do with UCF and probably nothing to do with football. We break out a new game as we think about the first three games of this season. Wheel of Issues makes a debut, Mike. And then, obviously, we'll start off with the headlines. All that leading into UCF's tilt with Navy this upcoming Saturday. But before we do all of that, Mike, do us a couple favors. Social media stuff. Find us, follow us, like us at Sons of UCF. Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, all the good jazz. Make sure you find our website, tunatesmedia.com. Make sure you follow Mike on Twitter at UCFMike1. Make sure you're subscribing to all of those channels, particularly the YouTube channel, because that's where you can find our live show. Every Thursday with Mike, myself, and Trace Chalco, 8 p.m., Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. Mike, it's a lot of stuff for people to do, but I promise it'll take just a few quick seconds.
Yeah, you know what I haven't seen in a while? Any new reviews on Apple? And we used to get a bunch of those. It's been a while now.
Okay.
So you guys are getting this show for free. We don't ask for much out of you people.
None.
Let's go on there a quick second and write a nice little review for us, and we'd appreciate it.
Don't make Mike angry. Get your reviews in. Make sure you watch. And we appreciate all of you for doing all that good stuff, Mike. And for all your hard efforts, we will bring you this edition of the show, which starts off with headlines, Mike. The biggest headline, probably no surprise, no secret, but Gus Malzahn makes it official. QB1 is Mikey Keene. He will take the first snap against Navy this Saturday, Mike. We already suspected that would be the thing. Now it's official. How are you feeling about the Mikey Keene era getting underway?
I'm ready to roll, Mikey Keene. I mean, he's a true freshman, yes, but we've seen this happen before in UCF land. We saw Dylan Gabriel come in right away and perform well. Mackenzie Milton did it. Jeff Godfrey did it. Dante Culpepper did it. Some of the UCF greats have come in and done it right away. I don't want to put that kind of burden on this kid, but from all the reviews we've heard over the spring and coming into this fall camp where he won the number 2 job, I'm expecting big things from this kid. So I'm ready to see what he's got.
It's funny, even though Dylan Gabriel obviously is a top quarterback in all of college football, and he's lost for a significant amount of time, Knight fans don't seem to be panicking. Everyone seems to have a quiet confidence in Mikey Keene, Mike, and maybe that is because we've seen this story play out. We saw it play out with Mackenzie Milton. We saw it play out with Dylan Gabriel. Heck, Blake Bortles got in as a freshman. Godfrey is a freshman. So we've seen this story play out before, Mike. But Knight fans don't seem, while I mean, certainly nobody wanted to lose Dylan Gabriel, I get the sense that most people actually have a quiet confidence in Mikey Keene. Do you share that same sentiment?
Yeah, I think that for everything we just mentioned, and if you've been paying attention on Twitter and stuff, then Mikey Keene is the new Chuck Norris. We went over a few of those last week. So people are expecting big things out of this kid. And you know why? It's because he's a winner. And in high school, he didn't lose a game his last 2 years. He won state championships. And I believe he was, 23-0 the last 2 years, 25-0, something like that. So he's used to winning. I'm sure he's expecting just as much of himself as we are expecting out of him as fans.
Yeah, there's been a lot of conversations. I know a lot of folks have caught up. I think Brandon Hellwig from UCFsports.com caught up with his high school coach and basically just said, this guy's a winner. This kid wants to play. And I read a story, again, I think it was Brandon's story, where Mikey Keene had to come in as a true freshman after the quarterback got injured during the game. And it was like a 3rd and 1, 3rd and 2, and they had a simple call. And for some reason, Mikey Keene threw like a 50-yard bomb that ended up getting caught for a touchdown. So he's got a little of this moxie to him, Mike. He's got a little bit of this swagger. I mean, I don't want to start doing this because it doesn't feel necessarily fair, but I mean, I guess you could make a bit of a Mackenzie Milton comparison, and that, he just seems like a bit of a gunslinger, a bit of a guy who's going to go make some plays, run around a little bit, and that could be exciting to see, Mike. What I'm really curious to figure out, though, is how or does Gus Malzahn modify the offense to match Mikey Keene? Obviously, probably not, and I assume probably because we haven't seen it, probably not the prolific passer Dillon Gabriel is. So do you expect any offensive modifications from Gus to accommodate Mikey?
Yeah, I think he has to scale the playbook back a little bit, or I don't know if I want to say scale it back, but just adjust it to his strengths. And the last couple of years, we've seen Dillon Gabriel more of a pocket passer. He can run. Let's not say he can't run, because we saw it earlier this year. He ran, 110 yards on one play for a touchdown. He can run. It didn't seem like he wanted to run as much, especially under Heupel. But I think Keene is going to be more likely to take off with it when he has to. I think Gus wants him to do that. I think you're going to see Gus roll him out a lot more and get him some open lanes. I think Gus will know exactly how to use this kid. And we're going to see. The good thing is we had a bye week here leading up to this game. He's got that extra week to prepare, knowing he's going to start. So I think that helps. And plus Navy, we should have a lot of speed advantages on Navy on the outside. That'll help him out too.
Yeah, I think by all accounts, it feels like people are describing Keene as more of a, more of a gunslinger / playmaker type. And again, I don't want to bring the Mackenzie Milton stuff back, but KZ had just a great God-given knack for making something out of nothing. We're Dillon, certainly will take his shots, but he's quick to determine, hey, I got nothing here, and throw it away, or take a 3-yard run and a slide. I have a feeling we're up for a little bit of theatrics here from Mikey Keene. It sounds like, based on what his high school coach says, based on what we've seen of him, that he's not afraid to try to make something out of nothing. And that could be good or bad, right? It could obviously lead to mistakes. He's a true freshman, but it could lead to some exciting plays as well, too. So, Mike, I think overall, going into the game, again, a lot of quiet confidence. Does it help at all that it's Navy? So Navy 0-3 on the season. They've surrendered 49, 23, and 28 points respectively. So does it help at all to face a team that, at least on paper, doesn't appear to have a really stout defensive unit?
It definitely helps. I mean, you don't want this first game to be against Cincinnati. But Navy, I think, is the perfect opponent. Like I mentioned just now, I think we got a lot of speed advantage on these guys. I think he can get to the outside and hurt them with his legs. So I think it's perfect for us. Trace asked Coach Malzahn if it was an advantage being on the road or at home. I think he got that from me. I think it is a little bit of an advantage, because I think at home you're trying to do a little bit too much to please the fans. Remember, Dillon Gabriel, his very first game against FAMU was at home, just like Mikey Keene got his feet wet for a few passes. But then his first start was down in Boca against FAU, and he got to let it loose a little bit, a little less pressure, even though that felt like a home game. Here, going on the road, I know Navy's a little tougher environment, but maybe this year not as much with the way they've been playing. And then he gets to come home against East Carolina, like Dillon got to come home against Stanford and light it up at home.
Yeah, I thought Trace had a really good question, because I do think it takes a little bit of pressure off him if you're on the road. While Navy is certainly an interesting atmosphere, I don't know that it to be a raucous, 70,000+ person crowd. And so particularly 0-3, perhaps it will give him an opportunity to kind of lock in, calm down, just execute the game plan. And I think that's where Gus's maturity as a head coach, as a play caller, really can help out Mikey Keene, because really Mikey just has to stay within himself, make the plays that are called, make the reads, don't turn the ball over. I think the offense can certainly be productive. We saw him play well, to your point, when he got in earlier against Bethune. So, perhaps he can do that same thing, Mike. But what's interesting, though, is who the number 2 quarterback is. So UCF did not update the depth chart. So if you got the Navy game notes, Dylan Gabriel is still QB1. So I don't think he's going to be in there. But essentially, Gus, Mike, all but confirmed that Joey Gatewood is, for all intents and purposes, serving as QB2. Don't know if that comes as a surprise. I mean, I think a lot of us figured that there would be a package for Gatewood, but that he wouldn't be, the quarterback that if, for some reason Mikey Keene was out for a couple of plays for whatever reason, that he'd be the guy coming in. But Joey Gatewood, my QB2, did that surprise you at all?
No, not based on the last few weeks. And I think it's perfect because I think if Keene comes out and say maybe he struggles a little bit the first couple of drives, it's already expected that Gatewood is going to come in and get a series here and there. So Keene is not going to take this as a slight on him. Just get him a breather, get him to see the field a little bit, maybe for a drive on the sideline or a series or two, and get Gatewood's feet wet in there too. So I think it works out good, especially if Keene struggles at the first drive or two. And if he's rolling, I think you're still going to see Gatewood at some point later in the first half, at least for one series. Get that package in there and work it in, because we're going to need both of them probably for the rest of the next few weeks. I think it's a good thing.
Well, what we don't know is who else will be around them. So if you saw the Our Time series in ESPN Plus, they showed a few of the different injury things that took place, Mike. Gus was asked several times in recent press conferences for status updates on any of those guys. The only person he's offered any update on is that Matt Lee appears to be ready to go and ready to play against Navy. That'll be a good injury to get past us and bring Matt Lee back to the fold, Mike. But no real updates on any of the other injured guys. So to reorient, Isaiah Bowser, we assume, has some sort of knee injury. Jalen Robinson, I think we heard, has a knee. We're not sure what the extent of that. Obviously, we saw Corey Thornton and Tatum Bethune on defense, both with potential concussions. Ricky Barber is out. I don't know if I know his injury. I think it may be a knee there as well. So the walking wounded, Mike, we don't have any updates on any of those guys. Obviously, we'd like to have them all, but is there a guy or two on that list that you absolutely are really hoping can get back and play this week against Navy?
Well, you need the defensive guys, as many defensive guys as possible, guys that can go out there and make tackles. So any linebacker that can come in and help, that's something that we definitely need. I think we could get by for a week against Navy without a Jalen Robinson. Obviously, we'd love to have him, but we still got a bunch of weapons out there. I think we can get by giving Bowser a week off because you still got Johnny Richardson and Trillian Coles and company back there. I think they can do a good enough job to win this game. I'd love to see the defensive help come back as much as possible. Concussions are tricky. I mean, we're not going to know up until until the day of the game, probably, if they pass, if they're out of concussion protocol. So that's going to be a big key to this game, I think, is how many guys can we get back healthy. The Matt Lee coming back, I think, is huge, especially for a quarterback making his very first start. So if he can come back and play, I think that'll be a big help.
Yeah, I think you're right. The defensive side is really the important part because, and during the press conferences this week, and if you read Kalia Davis's weekly newsletter, he referenced specifically that, T. Will and the staff have been preaching discipline, staying in your gaps, staying in your assignments, and making plays. That makes guys like Ricky Barber and Tatum Bethune all the more important because obviously they're going to play a big role. And Mike, we had Nick Patty on the show with us during the live experience here last Thursday, and he referenced that the linebackers specifically, that second level, were crucial to stopping the Navy style offense. So having as many of those guys back is important. To your point, we probably could roll a game without Bowser, a game without Jalen Robinson, particularly against Navy. And so if this is a week to rest them to get an additional, rest period in, I think it may make some sense. Bowser, I get the sense just by his social media stuff, seems to think his injury or is indicating his injury is maybe a little bit more serious. J-Flash has been really quiet. So I agree. I think if we can get those defensive guys back, that could play a huge role and kind of putting this game away maybe early and getting some guys some additional rest as well.
Yeah, that's going to be the key. Normally, you're beat up coming out of the Navy game. These guys go after the knees a lot, and the way they block, it can get ugly coming out of this game. You hate to go into this game with a bunch of injuries like we are this week. Maybe Gus is just holding back. Maybe he knows some guys are ready to play. He just doesn't want to say anything. Hopefully that's the case. But coming out of this week healthy is a big part for the rest of our season.
Yeah, coaches never reveal anything, right? This is the whole, they're all day-to-day. We'll know later in the week, right? So and we probably won't know up until, that Friday, Saturday timeline. We'll see who's traveling, and we'll see what it looks like. But again, I think surrounding Mikey with as many weapons as we can to simplify the game, make it easy for him, let him make easy reads, let him make easy decisions. I think that certainly helps out Mike. And we're facing a Navy team that's 0-3 on the season. So if you haven't been following Navy, and I guess I don't blame you, 49-7 loss to Marshall, a 23-3 loss to Air Force, and Mike, 28-20 against Houston. They played Houston tough. They were actually leading at halftime. But Houston stormed back and got the victory, Mike. So not exactly a team that is really kind of coming in on a hot streak here. They only have 3 touchdowns on the year, 2 touchdowns on the ground from their quarterback Xavier Arline. No passing touchdowns, Mike. So obviously you know what you're getting with Navy. A heavy dose of run, a heavy dose of the triple option, a heavy dose of ground and pound, chew the clock, and try not to do anything to beat yourself. So what are you anticipating in a matchup with a team that has such a unique style like a Navy program does?
Well, we've said it already. You got to play assignment football. Stack the box against these guys. Don't be scared to let them beat you deep. They're going to attempt a deep pass every once in a while. You got to have faith in our corner to be out there, break it up. If you have to get a pass interference, just take the pass interference if you're beat. But don't give up a huge play and just stack up against the run. Obviously, their quarterbacks don't throw very often, and they haven't thrown a touchdown on all this year, so don't be scared of that. Just go up and do exactly what you got to do. Put all 11 guys up front if you have to. That's the way they're going to play, so that's the way we got to defend it.
Well, I said this a few weeks ago. This is a T-Will game, right? This is T-Will. How well can you discipline the guys to make plays? In the times we played Navy, Randy Shannon had a good game plan against them. I think it was 2018. 2017, obviously the game up in Navy that we won kind of in a close contest. Even Chenander figured it out. So this is a T-Will kind of game. Obviously, we all kind of talked a little bit about what transpired against Louisville, Mike. So this is T-Will's game. Can he come up with a game plan? Can he keep these guys disciplined? Can he find the right combination of guys to make this work, Mike? I think to me this will tell us a little bit about T-Will as a strategist as a disciplinarian from a coaching perspective.
Let's not forget the run defense was the strength of this team the first 2 weeks. We shut down Boise State. We shut down Bethune-Cookman. Yes, it got a little over there in Louisville with the running quarterback, but that's a guy that you think can also throw the ball. So now that you know this guy is 90% of the time going to run, should help out on defense. I think we'll be okay. So as long as we stay healthy and keep the guys knowing their assignments, knowing where to go, it's fundamental football from here on out.
And this is the start of the season. Like, for all intents and purposes, conference play obviously starts this week. Obviously, losing to Louisville was certainly not what we all wanted to see. But a lot of the goals the team had set in front of them, a lot of the potential postseason stuff is still in front. How important do you think it is to start off a conference game, or rather a conference schedule, with a nice win against a Navy team?
Oh, you cannot lose this game. All right, if you have any intentions on winning this conference, you cannot lose this game. We can maybe afford to lose one conference game and still say we got a shot to make the championship game, right? Because you got a team like Houston that doesn't play us in Cincinnati. They have a soft conference schedule. They may only lose one themselves. You got SMU, who looks really good. Cincinnati obviously is playing well. So you're allowed one loss, and it's probably either to Cincinnati or SMU. I don't even know if you can lose to both of them. You lose both those games, then you're hoping for other teams to lose to get you into the championship game. You cannot lose a game to Navy. You cannot lose a game to the Cows or Temple or East Carolina at home. So this is a must-win if you want to win the conference.
Well, particularly with this season, we saw in this week in college football, even though UCF was off, I mean, the ACC is trash. Clemson, second loss of the year. North Carolina lost to Georgia Tech. The ACC is just not holding up well. So, I mean, is there an opportunity for a team out of the group of five to make their way in? Iowa State, our future brother in the Big 12, they lost to Baylor. So a lot of teams were falling this week, Mike. And maybe if UCF keeps the course, and obviously the collision course with Cincinnati will loom large, but a lot of goals are still in front of them. And as other dominoes start to fall, again, a lot of things have to fall in your favor, right? But there could be opportunity, Mike. This is the first chance for UCF to put all that behind them. Gus said in his post game speech, and it was caught on the Our Time show, that he truly believed that this loss would be the defining moment of the season, and that they would not lose again. That holds true. That there certainly still are a lot of goals and a lot of playable things ahead for UCF.
Oh, if we win the conference, or if we run the table from here on out, I believe we'll be in the New Year's Six game. We are the best conference considered of the G5. That means we would have beat Cincinnati once, maybe even twice. And Cincinnati, by the time we play them the first time, they may be a top 5 team by the time we go over there. You're talking about beating an SMU team that should be ranked by the time we get there. There's some big wins still on this schedule. Remember, in 2013, we lost a game early in the season, too, against South Carolina, went on and won the rest of our games, went to the BCS. Now, the BCS has to take the best conference champion. So team like Coastal Carolina, they can go undefeated all year. If they lose their conference championship game, they're out. So there's still plenty of things to play for. It's still a good chance of a BCS game if we win out from here on out. Or if we win the conference, that is the main goal. You got to win the conference first to even think about stuff like that.
Well, again, a lot of weird, quirky, things take place every season in college football, and this season obviously is no different, Mike. So keep it locked. 3:30. Our first opportunity for CBS Sports Network. If you're not familiar with their work, that means you have about 19 minutes in between plays to go get a drink, a soda, probably do 1,000 push-ups. Their commercial breaks seem to take a million hours. Mike, this is one of those things where syncing to the Mark Daniels play-by-play on the radio call may be a really good idea, because CBS Sports, as much as it's great to have our games on TV, I think we can all agree that it's not necessarily the strongest broadcast opportunity. No,
I hate CBS Sports. And I just found out a couple of weeks ago that I don't even have CBS Sports anymore on my DirecTV package. Do you know what that means? Back to the brass tap we go, baby.
Oh, boy. Here we go. What? Everybody, watch out, brass tap.
Saturday is going to be a long day for me. I have 2 softball games, one at 9 a.m., one at 1 p.m. Then I have to go home, shower up, and head back out downtown, get to watch the game. And, then it won't matter who's broadcasting anymore. And I don't care how long the timeouts are. That just means more time for fireball shots, more beers. So it'll be a good time.
What are your thoughts on this? Is UCF's first afternoon game of the season, Mike. We've played obviously a 7:00 game, which turned into a 10:00 game. We played obviously a Friday night game that was like a 7:30 kick, and then we had the kick against Bethune, which was 6:00. The first early kind of afternoon game. Do you have a preference? How do you stack up if you had to power rank? Give me your top 5, Mike. Top 5 game kickoff times. What do you got?
Number 5.
Oh boy, you're really doing this. I didn't think you had this in you. This was impromptu. Let me get some sounders together here. Oh, hold on. If you got top 5, I want to make sure I'm ready for you. All right, I'm ready for you. Whenever you're ready.
All right, let me do it again. Number 5, Tuesday night Maction.
Wow, Tuesday night Maction. We don't play it. Okay, fair enough.
We used to.
Yeah, fair enough.
4, noon at home in September.
September. It's kind of hot there, though. Yeah.
Exactly. That's no good. Number 3, give me a Friday night game. I don't mind those.
Okay.
Number 2, I like this 3:30 start on a Saturday. That's traditional football right there.
Okay, 3:30 Saturday.
The number 1 is primetime Saturday night, if you can get it. So.
Saturday night primetime. Okay.
3:30 is not bad. I don't mind 3:30. Yeah, that's a good time. It's early. It's late enough where if you got kids, you can get all their stuff out of the way. You still got the day, and it's early enough where you can still have a good time. The game's over by 8:00. You can go home and relax for a little while.
Yeah, I think the 3:30 is a good one, right? Because it does give you an opportunity. Now it's smack dab in the middle of the day, but it still gives you the early morning time, like you said, to do stuff with the family if you have responsibilities. And the game could end, early enough that if you have after game plans, you're going to go out with some friends, go to somebody's house or something, you still got some time. So I'm good with that. The Friday games are interesting because it frees up your entire weekend. But if it's a loss, it ruins your entire weekend, as we saw against Louisville. So that's a tricky one. I'm okay with the late game as long as it's a marquee game. You know, I mean, like, don't give me like an 8:30 kickoff against ECU, right? Because then it's like, oh my God, I got to stay up for that. But if it's an 8 o'clock kickoff against Cincinnati, where it's going to be a good game, a hard fought game, I'm in for that too. So I think those are some good times. Tuesday night Maction, I didn't see that one coming.
Yeah, I had to think of 5 off the top of my head.
Yeah, these are tough. I thought you had a list ready. I thought you already had these things ready to go.
Stay tuned for that.
What about the Thursday? You're not a fan of the Thursday night games?
Yeah, Thursday's fine.
Okay.
Whatever.
What about your Labor Day Monday? I mean, obviously UCF has not played, I don't think, ever on a Labor Day Monday.
I'd prefer a Labor Day weekend Sunday night. I'd prefer, because then you're off Monday.
Yeah.
Labor Day Monday night, you've already been drinking for 3-4 days in a row. I'm ready to go to bed early.
Right.
And then you got Tuesday work. No, that's no good. I don't like that one.
Okay. Well, 3:30 kickoff, CBS Sports Network. If you don't have it on your cable package subscription, like Mike said, a lot of watch parties out there. Search up the area where you're at. I know West Palm, up here where I'm at in Jacksonville, Mike, South Florida, Orlando, all over the place. I know there's a lot of alumni associations, LA, Chicago, Las Vegas, Denver, DC, New York. So wherever you're at, if you don't have CBS Sports Network, go find a watch party and hang out with some Knights. It's always a good opportunity to do that, Mike. So 3:30 CBS Sports, UCF and Navy. Let's do a quick transition here. You had mentioned off the top before we started recording that you have some observations, and you caught me off guard. I did not observe anything this weekend because UCF did not play, and so I did not prepare in advance. But somehow you, who did not watch a single iota of college football this weekend, and you, who was not even in the country this weekend, you have UCF observations. I'm on the edge of my seat here, Mike. I can't even wait to see what these are. I don't know if I need to bring any sound effects in for you here, but I'm going to cede the floor to you on UCF observations. I don't know what we're going to get here.
All right, well, keep those sounders around because you like top 5 lists. Here we go, baby.
All right.
Observation time. The big observation I had is the bye week vacations are good for the soul. I really needed this, especially coming off that loss. Just get away from football. You're right. I didn't watch any college football at all this year. You know what I did? I went on a cruise. So you know what that means? Top 5 cruises.
Here we go. All right. There we go. I'm ready.
Number 5. The Jungle Cruise. The Jungle Cruise ride at Disney. You know that was the first ever Disney attraction in Disneyland, 1955 when the park opened?
I didn't see this research coming. I did not know that, no.
So that got me into another list. Top 5 Magic Kingdom attractions.
Well, hold on. Which list are we on here? Hold on. I gotta know where we're at.
You need to keep track here.
Okay.
We're going to go all over the place.
Okay.
Now we're on Disney attractions, top 5. Right?
Okay, here we go.
Number 5. The Magic Carpets of Aladdin.
Jesus.
Oh, you didn't see that one coming.
I did not see that one coming.
That one's sentimental to me. That was the first ride ever that we took my daughter on the first time we went to Disney, which was 1 year old, Isabella, my very first one. So that's a personal favorite right there.
Okay.
Number 4, It's a Small World.
That song
you hear that
is
song?
just so...
Yeah,
oh
exactly.
Yeah, okay.
You hear that song, you're never going to get it out of your head for the rest of the day. It's a small world after all. It's a classic.
Yes, apparently.
When you go to the Magic Kingdom, you got to go on there at least once. Number 3, Pirates of the Caribbean.
Oh, okay.
You like that one? How do you say it? Do you say Caribbean or Caribbean? Because when I go on the cruise, I went on a Royal Caribbean cruise.
Yeah.
But when I go on the ride, it's Pirates of the Caribbean.
I say Caribbean. I'm a Caribbean.
But would you call Royal Caribbean?
No, because they call it Caribbean, so I think I would say Caribbean. But because I'm acquiescing to, but it's like the 90210 thing. Is it Andrea or Andrea? You know what I mean? I'm just going to go with what they want to be called, even though I would typically say Caribbean.
But she always requested Andrea. That was her name.
What are you going to do? She doesn't know.
Number 2, the People Mover.
The People Movers are solid, yeah.
In Tomorrowland, you go to the People Mover. You need a break, man. You've been walking around in that hot sun all day. Just get in there and sit on the People Mover for 20 minutes. It's a nice little relaxation time.
Yeah, sure is.
And the number 1 Magic Kingdom attraction, the Haunted Mansion. That's always been my favorite as a kid. Even now as an adult, it's great. You get the Green Goblin sitting on the ghost on your seat on the way back, and the mirrors. That's a cool ride. So
when you're doing attractions, you're keeping rides. So Splash Mountain not making an appearance, Thunder Mountain, Space Mountain.
I've lost my hat on Splash Mountain before.
Okay,
that's right.
All right.
Yeah, Space Mountain's overrated. It just goes in circles. It's in the dark. What do you do? Maybe 30 years ago it was pretty cool. Now it's kind of Thunder Mountain's not bad. Of the three, I think Thunder Mountain is the best of the mountains.
All right, but it's not top 5. All right, yeah. Listen, it's your list. Who am I to argue?
All right, so we're back to the top 5 cruises, right?
Yeah, we are. We're at number 5. We're Jungle Cruise. Number 4. Yeah, I'm keeping up.
Celia Cruz.
Okay.
Celia Cruz. You didn't see that one coming.
I did not. I mean, I figured this was going a Tom Cruise route at some point, but yeah, I didn't see that one coming for sure.
Celia Cruz, which had me thinking. Top 5 Celia Cruz songs.
All right, here we go.
Number 5, Cuando Estoy Contigo. Nice little ballad song there.
Who doesn't love that one? Yeah.
All right. Number 4, Tu Voz. That means your voice there in Spanish.
Great.
Number 3, Kimbara. Classic.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
All right. Kimbara. Okay, you know that one?
One of my favorites, yeah.
Number 2, you've heard this one. Guantanamo.
Yeah. I thought Wyclef did that one.
Well, I mean, where do you think he got it from?
Wyclef.
Celia Cruz. Celia Cruz is the queen of salsa, by the way.
I saw that. I had to Google her on Wikipedia because I had no idea who she was, and so I'm checking that out now. Yeah, I see that. Rest in peace, by the way.
And the number 1 Celia Cruz song?
Yeah.
La vida es un carnaval.
I see that here. Yeah. Yep. Mm-hmm.
That is an all-time banger. I know you don't know who Celia Cruz is.
I do not.
Guarantee you've heard this song before because you've been to my house for New Year's parties.
Yeah.
Staple at the Espinosa household every time there's a party.
Okay.
That you put it on, I guarantee you like, okay, I've heard this one before.
Okay. I'm not going to do that though, but I believe you. What about her catchphrase?
Azúcar.
Azúcar. Yeah. Is that we're okay. All right. All right. So sorry, we're back to number 3 on the cruises.
Number 3, top cruises. Yeah. Top cruises.
Here we go. We're back to this.
Tom Cruise.
There we go. Top 5 Tom Cruise movies. Is that what we're doing?
Top 5 Tom Cruise movies. You asked for it. You get it.
I did. You're right.
Number 5, Cocktail.
Oh, good movie. Yeah, solid.
Yeah, I like Cocktail. Young Flanagan. You wanted to be a bartender after you saw that movie, yes?
Yeah, I mean, there's still part of me at 40 that still thinks I could be a bartender. So yeah, I'm in on that.
Exactly. I mean, Elizabeth Shue.
Yeah.
He's saying, what else do you want?
Easy on the eyes for sure.
Number 4, Jerry Maguire.
Show me the money. Good one. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Show me the money.
Yeah.
Number 3, Risky Business.
Okay. Solid.
The train scene. You get the picture.
I got you.
Number 2, Tropic Thunder.
Interesting.
I did not know that was Tom Cruise in that movie until the credits came out, and I had to go back and look at it and say, "Wow,
okay,
he was hilarious in that movie."
All right, fair enough.
The number 1 Tom Cruise movie?
Yeah.
Color of Money.
Wow.
You ever see that one?
I have. Yeah. You left off a couple here. I'm not going to lie to you. Days of Thunder.
I know thinking Days of Thunder, A Few Good Men.
Days of Thunder.
I know.
I was going to go with The Firm because he runs a 4.240 flat in dress shoes in The Firm. I was thinking that one. Obviously, Mission Impossibles are on the list. I'm surprised Days of Thunder didn't get a nod there. I'm surprised.
I don't think I've ever seen Days of Thunder, to be honest.
Rubbing his racing.
I was going to say Boiling on the 4th of July just because of that one favorite line of ours that we have. I don't know if I'm allowed to say it on the show. But,
do you want to get the beep button? I mean, if we're going to do this, it's a whole different screen. Just give me an advance notice. Yeah, interesting. Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, I would have thought you had Days of Thunder in there for sure.
You don't argue the top 5 list.
I'm not arguing at all. I'm just making an opinion. Okay, so now we're on the number 2 cruise, right?
Number 2 cruises. Yeah. Victor Cruz.
Oh, Jesus Christ, this guy. Nothing was more annoying than Victor Cruz. God almighty, was more annoying than Victor Cruz.
That's why I'm bringing you now. The top 5 Victor Cruz touchdowns.
Okay.
Number 5, his first ever. 74 yards against the Eagles. They gave the Giants a 14-0 lead early in this game. This is the game the Eagles were touting themselves as the team of the decade, team of the century. They had Michael Vick. They just signed Asamoah and in the defensive secondary. Giants went out there, beat them up. And I remember watching this game because I was in Vegas right after the BYU game, the infamous 2011 game that we blew. We went to Vegas a couple days later, well, actually the next day, and I watched that game there. Number 5, touchdown versus the Eagles, first of his career. Number 4,
yeah,
28-yarder, same game to give them the lead back in the fourth quarter, down 16 to, I guess it was 14 at the time. They score a touchdown, go for 2, get that one, go up 22-16, go on to win that game, and ended up having a pretty good season. Number 3, touchdown against the Patriots in the Super Bowl. First quarter, Giants force Tom Brady for a intentional grounding in the end zone. They get the safety to start the game. Victor Cruz comes right back down the field. Touchdown. Giants go up 9-0. The rest, my friends, is history. Number 2, you're going to like this one. To get to that Super Bowl, there was a season finale game against the Cowgirls. Winner take all. You win the division. You go to the playoffs. You lose. You're out. Victor Cruz hits the Cowboys 74 yards to start off the scoring, go up 7-0, beat the crap out of the Cowboys there, and go on to win the Super Bowl that season. That game was a blur to me. You know why? I had just had LASIK surgery about 2 days prior. Couldn't see anything. So I had to I had to go up about a foot from the screen to actually see the score. All I saw were colors going back and forth during that game.
Yep.
And the number 1 Victor Cruz touchdown, 99 yards versus the New York Jets the week before that, Christmas Eve, the play that sparked the entire Super Bowl run. Victor Cruz, top 5 touchdowns. What do you think about that one? You didn't like that one.
The best part about this is that you can't hear the sounders I'm playing, so you're going to have to figure this out when you actually watch listen back to the show. So that's the best part about it. So, all right, so we're now on to your number 1 Cruz. I'm for the life of me, I don't. Italia Cruz. I don't know. I'm out. I don't know where you're going. Number 1.
This was an obvious one. I thought you nailed this one. The Booze Cruise.
Okay. Do you have a top 5 Booze Cruises? I don't even know. Are there 5 of them? I think there's only 1.
There's only 1 Booze Cruise. I got the top 5 drinks you can have on a Booze Cruise.
Okay, here we
Number
go.
5.
Bring them in.
Beer.
Fair.
I know it's standard.
So on a boat, though, where are you going with the beer selection? Are you going, do you want something light and drinkable? Because obviously the waves, the motion, the ocean. What are you doing for a beer on the boat?
No, I stick to my standard beers.
Okay.
I don't go light. I don't do any of this stuff. The seltzer stuff doesn't count either, by the way. It's not beers.
What are you going to do?
All right. Number 4, a Bloody Mary.
Wow. What time is this cruise at, by the way?
Booze Cruise can be at any time.
I feel like at 9 o'clock in the morning. A morning booze cruise, you're in for Bloody Mary. You're talking like a 3:30 sun hot Bloody Mary. I don't know.
I mean, usually you're off on the boat a little early.
Yeah,
So
okay.
any time up until about 1 o'clock, if you're leaving before 1, you have yourself a Bloody Mary. Get the day started.
Yeah.
Number 3, margaritas.
Margarita Mondays. I'm with you.
Yeah. A little tequila in there. That'll do the trick.
Are you a salt on
2?
the rim guy? What's your margarita stance there?
I could take it or leave it. I don't need it, but yeah, if it's there, it helps the experience.
Okay. All right.
I don't know. Number 2, Captain and Coke.
Wow.
You gotta have a captain on the boat.
My favorite's the people who get the captain and Diet Coke. Like, come on, just who you fooling? Get over yourself. Get the real Coke. Okay.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
And the number 1 Booze Cruise drink.
Yeah.
If you like pina colada.
Ooh.
Pina colada. And a couple of those this weekend myself. So.
I'm sure you did. I'm sure you. So you went. So you're not going strawberry daiquiri situation. I didn't hear a mimosa on there. We're eschewing those.
Yeah, a mimosa is there at the Bloody Marys right around. They're both morning time drinks.
Yeah.
I prefer a Bloody Mary, a spicy one myself.
Of course. Yeah.
Strawberry daiquiri is okay. Strawberry daiquiri is more of a, I don't know. It's kind of a kiddie drink. You take the vodka out of it, or what is it, rum? And you have
yes,
you have a
all of the above.
A virgin strawberry daiquiri, something my kids would drink.
What about you're not popping any champagne? Or what if you're celebrating on the booze cruise?
That's not bad.
Okay.
So not a top 5.
Okay. All right. Well, listen. These are if I had known this was what we were doing on UCF Observations, I would have put this much later on in the show for sure. Do we have anything else on the UCF Observations? I don't have the list in front of me. Is that all we got?
No, it was a bye week. I didn't watch any football. I was on a cruise and top 5 cruises. There you go. Jungle Cruise, Celia Cruz, Tom Cruise, Victor Cruz, and the Booze Cruise.
Gotta tell you, I think Victor Cruz a little high on that list. I'm not gonna. Is he a Hall of Famer? Probably not, right?
No, but I debated him number 1. I mean, only the Booze Cruise beat him out.
Man,
Victor Cruz, Super Bowl champion.
I mean, a lot of people.
Tony Romo.
So was Trent
Not a
Dilfer. I
single
mean, a lot of. That's also fair. That's also fair. Who's gotten more money? But either way, all right. Well, that's the opening of the show. If this does not encourage you to stay around for the next part where we do the UCF Wheel of Issues, I don't know what will. So don't you go anywhere. Let's grab a quick break here. Mike's going to make some of these drinks from his booze cruise, and we'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. We are the Sons of UCF.
This is UCF head football coach Gus Malzahn, and you're listening to the Future of UCF podcasting with Adam and Mike on the Sons of UCF. Boom.
All right. New game. Obviously, we don't have a game breakdown to give you this week. So, like 3 games into the season, there are probably a handful of items, issues, just things that are probably giving a little bit of heartburn to UCF fans. Maybe some things we got to clean up, some things we got to correct. But look, we've only played 3 games, so it's hard to understand specifically. Are these season-long problems? Are these real issues? Or are these just things that just happen throughout the course of football? So what I've done, Mike, is I've spared no expense while you were out on the cruise. I was in the wood shop here, cobbling together our very own Wheel of Fortune style wheel. And so what I've done, Mike, is I've put 8 separate items on this wheel. I'm going to call this the UCF Wheel of Issues. I'm going to spin the wheel. An issue will show up here, and then you're going to tell me, we're going to talk about whether this is a big issue, little issue, or no issue at all. That's kind of how this game's going to work, Mike. I think this wheel is going to hold up. I've got a microphone sort of planted near it so that it can capture noise, and I think this is going to work, Mike. So I'm going to take a spin at the Wheel of Issues. Are you ready for the inaugural, the first ever spin of the Wheel of Issues?
All right. I have no idea what's on this wheel.
You don't.
Just like you had no idea about my cruises.
None.
All right. So I have to say big issue, little issue, or no issue?
That's where I'm looking for. Yep.
Got it.
All
right. Let's go.
Here we go. Here's the spin. Oh, that was a bad spin. There it goes. Have a soft spin. All right, here. It's landing. It's going. All right, Mike, it has landed on injuries. Injuries are the first issue that we have. So first Wheel of Issue, injuries. Big deal, big issue, little issue, no issue.
This is a very big deal.
That wasn't one of the options. Jesus Christ.
It's about as big as a deal as I think we've seen so far this season. Obviously, we know the names. Dylan Gabriel, the one person coming into the season, I said, if somebody we can't afford to gets hurt, he would have been the first name out of my mouth. He's gone for who knows how long. All the other injuries, obviously Bowser off to the start that he was off to, him being out hurts. Jalen Robinson hurts. Ricky Barber, everybody that got hurt in the last week is a big deal to me. It's not like we lost any backups. They're all contributors, all starters. This is a big deal, especially if it lingers for the next few weeks and we don't get these guys back in time. I gotta say by East Carolina, because you want them to get another game in there before the big game in Cincinnati.
Yeah, it's a big deal, right? Obviously, because not just the people, and again, Dylan Gabriel alone would probably make it a big deal. Just the number of people make it a huge issue, and then just the depth behind these guys. We saw against Louisville when some of these guys went out, we needed some guys to come in and step up. And while guys played well, you certainly could tell a bit of a difference between sort of the first unit and some of the guys who came out on the second unit. So if we're going to continue to have these issues, that could certainly be something to consider. Obviously, we're playing Navy, like you mentioned, Mike, at least on the defensive line. Some of their linemen will typically block low, so it could be a recipe for lower leg injuries. And obviously it's only 3 weeks into a long season, a lot of tough battles to be had so far. So injuries are certainly going to be an issue. The only saving grace is maybe get some guys some opportunity to get some playing time, get some reps in them. But we certainly need to figure out a way to keep the injuries at bay. Again, we forget about the guys who were hurt prior to the season, RJ Harvey, Jarvis Ware, 2 guys who are both out with knee injuries that aren't going to play this year that we were counting on. So the injury bug is certainly a big issue for UCF. So I say that's a big deal overall. So that's the first issue. Let me get a better spin on this one here. Let me get a better spin on this wheel here. Kind of a quieter wheel than I thought it was going to be. I thought it would be a little bit louder. But trust me, it's spinning, Mike. Here's the next issue, Mike. It's cornerback play. The play of the cornerbacks and really the secondary in general, Mike. Is that a big deal, little deal, or no deal?
Oof. I got to say it's probably a big deal as well. we're getting into conference play here, and we got some teams that could like to throw the ball around a lot. SMU, obviously. Memphis can do it. Cincinnati, I think we got to stop the run first, but Ritter can also hit yes with the tight ends. It's a big deal if it doesn't get better, because obviously we saw the problems last year. I think we need to rely on the guys up front to get some pressure that'll help these guys out. Hasn't happened as much as we needed it to, so it's a big deal. These guys last year, the excuses, they were young. Well, now they've got some experience. Guys like Thornton and Hodges and all these guys that were back there last year, they got to start growing up now. I know Thornton got hurt in the last game, so who knows if he's going to be back this week. But even guys like the transfers, Devod Wilson and Jaden Francois and those guys, they need to start stepping things up in the secondary.
Yeah, so UCF is ranked 113 out of 130 in passing yards allowed with 276 per game, Mike. That obviously is a stat that has to improve. Sure, you could look at it and say, hey, you know what? Bethune came out and threw the ball a little bit, but that game was kind of over early, so it doesn't really matter. You could say Boise, hey, they had a couple of really lucky plays, but by and large, the secondary stepped up okay. Obviously, in the Louisville game, you can say they only hit a couple of big plays here and there, but the challenge is we keep giving up those plays, and while T. Will has referenced that he wants to keep the top on the defense, we certainly seem to be letting a lot of people play underneath the top, and then at times the top gets blown off, Mike, which that's a huge analogy I'm sure you can figure out at some point. But either way, I think it's a big deal, because if we can't cover in the secondary, then that's only going to cause more issues throughout the season. We're going to play some more experienced quarterbacks, in our conference. Obviously, Desmond Ritter is one. SMU, Tanner Mordecai is tearing up the league right now, so we got to get that shored up if we're going to have any chance of winning the conference. So I think I agree with you, Mike. I think it's a big deal.
Yeah, like I said, the teams like to throw it around in the American. We're basically like the Big 12, high offensive teams. So it's got to get fixed now. And it starts this week against Navy, who doesn't like to throw the ball, so it should be a good week for the secondary.
All right, let's spin the wheel of issue. Again, I thought this wheel was going to be louder, man. Very, very quiet wheel. But I can assure you that it landed on lack of field goal attempts, Mike. So to date, Gus Malzahn has not trotted out Daniel Obarski or anybody else to kick the ball through the uprights outside of extra points. That we haven't really needed that at this juncture, Mike. But lack of field goal attempts thus far. Big deal or big issue, little issue, no issue?
I'll say little issue. Only because you like to see Obarski get out there and try one. But we haven't needed it. If that ball doesn't bounce off Amari Johnson's shoulder last week and go over 6 points the other direction, we may have seen our first one. But we're scoring touchdowns every time we get into the red zone. And as long as we're doing that, I hope we don't kick any field goals. I hope we just keep doing that. Remember last year we were getting bogged down in the red zone and we would be forced to try to attempt field goals. I'd much rather score a touchdown. So that doesn't bother me at all. I like that Gus has been aggressive on some of these fourth down calls. It's worked out so far. He's been a bit of a gambler on those. Last game against Louisville, he goes for it on a 4th and 2 inside field goal range, and we hit on it. So as long as that keeps working, I'm good with it. But I do want to see him attempt. I can't say there's no way we go the whole season without him attempting a field goal. Yeah. It's almost impossible. So it's going to happen. The question is, when is it going to happen, and is he going to make it? Because if he misses it, everybody's going to want to nobody's going to want to see him attempt another one. So it's a little issue for now.
Well, so I think it depends on the timing of it, right? I think as it goes on, it becomes a bigger issue because then it becomes a confidence thing. So if we don't trot him out for a field goal until Cincinnati, and all of a sudden we need him in a tight spot, and he's gone, at that point it'll be 4 or 5 games without attempting a field goal, that's where it becomes a bigger issue as the season goes on, because you got to wonder, there's one side of you that assumes that, to your point, Gus is just being aggressive, wants to go for it. We've had good opportunities. He feels good about the plays he has, and he feels good about the execution, so he wants to go for those things. On the converse side, though, is that impacting Obarski or any other kicker's confidence that he's like, man, this guy doesn't think I could kick the ball in. So the more that confidence wanes as a kicker, that's where you start to see challenges. So not having missed anything yet, perhaps he's good now. But if the season wanes on and we haven't had a chance to get him or any of those kickers in there, and all of a sudden we need one, then it's going to be a really big issue. So right now I'm okay with a little issue, but if we don't see him at least in some sort of garbage time, let's just put one up there and bomb it away and see what happens. I'm not calling him Justin Tucker, but like, let's do something here. Then I think it could become a bigger issue as the season goes on.
Yeah, hopefully this week we'll get a chance. But like I said, either early in the game to make it 3-0 or late in the game when it's, garbage time, or you just want to get them some work.
All right, 5 more issues on the wheel here. Spinning the wheel again. Man, this is quiet. You hear that wheel? No, you can't hear anything. Okay, here we go. The next thing on the wheel of issue, Mike. Oh, here we go, Mike. It's punting. So UCF has obviously punted a ton. A quick punting stat for you. UCF 103rd in the nation in net yards, 37.1 net yards. 103 out of 130 teams in punting. We saw a couple of rough ones throughout the year, Mike. The punting game, little issue, big issue, no issue?
I haven't really noticed it as being that big of an issue, so I'll say no issue. The yardage could be deceiving. I mean, a lot of times, if you're trying to punt from the 45-yard line, 50-yard line, you're not trying to boom one. You're trying to just put it inside the 20. So I think we've had a couple of those just playing the field position game. I'd have to get what's his percent? How many has he put inside the 20? Things like that. So I haven't noticed it. I haven't seen him really shank anyone that goes like 10 yards, 8 yards. I don't think we've had one of those yet this year. So as long as we don't get anything blocked and we're not giving up a return for a touchdown, I think it's no issue until it's an issue.
No issue until it's an issue. I mean, that's fair, Mike. I think, it hasn't necessarily been the best of years, but there's a lot of, I guess, nuance involved in the punting game. And you're right. There hasn't been one where we go, oh my goodness, what is this? What is happening here? What are we doing? But yeah, I don't. Do you have confidence in a big spot where we need to coffin corner this bad boy? Are you confident that we've got the operation in place to make that happen?
Yeah, I think so. As long as we've got the guys to go down there and cover it. That's the big part of the punts too. I mean, you could drop a beautiful punt, have it bounce at the 8-yard line, and nobody's down there to down it, and then it rolls into the end zone. That's not always on the punter either. So far, it hasn't really caught my eye. It's a big problem. If it's a problem, it's one of our smallest problems we have on this team.
Yeah, I think it's in that little problem category, the lower little problem. I think obviously you want to be able to flip the field, and particularly with a young quarterback, if Mikey Keene's going to struggle, the ability to win the field position battle and give him the ball on plus side or close to plus side, will play a big role. If we're going to continue to have Mikey playing from the 5 or the 10 or inside his own 20, it could be a lot more challenging. So if we can flip the field, have the defense step up and bow up a little bit, that's a quarterback's best friend. So I'll agree with you right now. I'll say little deal on the punting, Mike. We've got 4 more to go, 4 more issues that we have to go through. The wheel just spun. Again, you didn't hear it, of course. And we are at Louisville exposed how to beat UCF, Mike. Do you think that's true? And is that an issue, little issue, big issue, no issue?
I'd say it's a little issue. They may have put a blueprint out there, but you have to be able to execute that, and you have to have the pieces to do that. You have to have what they had, which is the running quarterback, and able to do it. Not every school has that. So I'd have to go over the schedule and look at everybody's quarterback and see who's capable of it. The quarterback over at SMU now, Tanner Mordecai, I really haven't watched much. Is he more of a pocket passer? Can he run with it? We know what Desmond Ridder can do. He can beat us with his legs, so that could be a problem. But that's one way to beat us, yes. But I think that you have to have the guys to be able to do it. So not every team's going to be able to do that.
For sure. I think what's interesting, though, is more quarterbacks these days are more teams. Even UCF, I wouldn't consider Dylan Gabriel a running quarterback, right? But we're able to figure out ways for him to get chunk yards. I think a lot of teams can do that. Now, obviously, Malik Cunningham at Louisville made a bunch of guys miss. It was definitely more elusive in the open field. But, if they can find a way to keep UCF off balance with a running quarterback who can throw the ball and find a solid game plan, you wonder, can T. Will respond? Did we learn something from that game? So I think it's a little deal, right? I think anytime a team gets beaten, you always go, oh, let's just do what they did, and we can beat them too, right? But there's so many other factors and variables. UCF changes stuff up, guys who are injured, guys who aren't there. So while I definitely think maybe a team down our schedule like a Cincinnati, I don't know about an SMU, Mike. We know Tulane is good. Michael Pratt isn't exactly the biggest running quarterback threat, but perhaps he finds some wheels. That the Cows are starting that true freshman now. Timmy McClain, he's more of a runner than a pocket passer. So maybe there is something to glean, but to your point, it's got to be executed, almost perfectly and flawlessly. A lot of things have to fall in place. So we'll also see if T-Will can adjust. So I guess little deal or little issue in my opinion, but it certainly does put some film out there that other coaches can look at and go, hey, we should try the same thing.
Yeah, and I'm not scared of certain guys. Like Holton Ahlers, I don't think can run much, right? The last couple of years, I've never seen him take off.
Yeah, he's more of a
big guy.
A big guy, yeah. He's going to knock somebody over for like 3 yards and a first down.
Right. Yeah, you're not scared of him going for 40 himself. So it's going to depend on the matchup.
All right, quick follow-up. Andrew Osteen has 4 punts inside the 20, Mike. He has 14 punts on the year, 9 fair catches, 4 inside the 20, and 2 of them are 50-yard plus, only 1 touchback. So that's your Andrew Osteen breakdown of the season. All right, let's go. We got 3 left on the wheel, Mike, here. Let's spin this wheel. God, this, such a quiet wheel. I really got to get back in the lab here, Mike. Okay, here is the next wheel of issue item. Defense having only 1 sack on the season. Little issue, big issue, no issue.
This is turning into a big issue. We expected a lot out of these guys. Big Cat Bryant was supposed to come in. He was supposed to have 8 sacks by now, and he hasn't had one yet. The guys up front, Kalia Davis, Ricky Barber, those guys were supposed to be getting after the quarterback, getting pressure up the middle, forcing these quarterbacks to move and help out our secondary. It was kind of funny after the first game to say we didn't have any sacks. It was a little bit worrisome after a Bethune game to say we didn't have any. We got 1 against Louisville, and that's probably because of the running quarterback, maybe forced himself into one. So if we don't start seeing this improve, it's not good enough to just get pressure sometimes. Eventually you got to get to the quarterback. So I'd like to see this stat pick up a little bit now in the next couple of weeks. I don't know if you're going to get too many opportunities with the Navy guy. He's probably only going to attempt a handful of passes. But going forward, guys like Holton Ahlers that are sitting back there in the pocket that are not that mobile, you got to get a few sacks.
Bob, quick pop quiz. Who has the sack? Do you remember?
I believe it was Montalvo, yes?
No? Josh Seliskar.
Oh, Seliskar.
Yeah,
Seliskar.
He's got the
right.
1 sack on the season, Mike. UCF ranks number 129 out of 130 in terms of sacks, Mike. The 130th team in the country is Vanderbilt. You never want to be in a list anywhere near Vanderbilt. We are 1 above them for being the worst on the college football season thus far. We do have 17 quarterback hurries. So, however that stat's attributed, I'm sure that's probably a bit of an off number in some respects, right? But we are getting some pressure, but we have not really fully gotten home on the quarterback, Mike. I do think it's a bit of a big issue in some respects, right? Because obviously we saw Louisville, they purposely game planned away from Big Cat Bryant. And so when those other guys had to kind of step up or sort of make the plays, who's going to be that guy? Who's going to be that person? Obviously, Traymon Morris-Brash not playing largely in the first 2 games, or none of the first 2 games, frankly, and not a lot in the third game. Can he be that guy? Seliskar, obviously, we saw a lot of things out of him last year. He's got a sack. So who's going to be that other guy that kind of sets that other edge? I think Cam Good, Kalia Davis, and Ricky Barber can certainly shore up the middle, but you don't get a ton of pressures up the middle. We don't appear to be a blitzing team, so where are these coming from? I think if we can keep the pressure on the quarterback and we don't have sacks, I'm okay with it. But at some point, we gotta lay the lumber to somebody, my friend.
Right, and those plays can change a game. Obviously, you make it 3rd and long with a sack, or you can force a fumble on a sack. A lot of good things can happen from the defense if you get a sack in there, which we haven't had many of. Only 1.
Only 1. All right. So Mike's saying, I say big issue. I think you agree with that, big issue?
Yeah, big issue for now.
Big issue for now. All right. We got 2 items left on the wheel of issues. Let's get this thing rolling here, Mike. Rolling. We're running out of room here. We got this one. It's tricking, and it is going to, Mike, here's what I put down. I put the QB room. And here's what we got. We have Joey Gatewood, a guy who's been with the team all of, 7 weeks, is now QB2. Jumping over a guy like Quadri Jones, jumping over a guy like Parker Navarro, who we heard this week is kind of running scout team. Obviously, we see Mikey Keene having his opportunity. We know hopefully Dylan Gabriel comes back healthy at some point, Mike. Are you concerned at all about the QB room, maybe a guy or two checking out, maybe a guy wanting to leave, and sort of the way that Gus is managing the QB room so far? Is that a little issue, big issue, no issue?
No, I think it's a little issue. These guys all became one step closer to getting playing time. I mean, coming into the season, you would have thought none of them were going to see the field. Now there's a true freshman on the field. Hopefully there's no more injuries, but if there is, every one of these guys has to be ready to play. I mean, Gatewood has only been here a few weeks. He's got a package ready for him. Is he ready to play a full game? I don't know. And Quadri Jones, now you've been here for a long time. If it comes down to it, you got to get in there and take some snaps. He's got to be ready. There is no time for pouting around and checking out, like you said. We can't afford that, you know. And now, if we do get a big lead, say in this Navy game, we can't keep Mikey Keene in there all game. I know we got to get him some experience, but we also got to be careful now. We can't afford another injury. So if that's the case, get him out of there, and hopefully he doesn't have to play the fourth quarter. And then it's Quadri Jones time, and it's Joey Gatewood time, and those guys will get some playing time this way. I don't think there's any room for moping around it because you're not seeing the field, or because you got demoted, or because you're on scout team.
Well, I mean, there shouldn't be, right? But obviously these are, 19, 20, 21-year-old kids, who are looking around the transfer portal. Again, you can play 4 games and transfer. So some of these guys, even though they haven't played, maybe are looking at decisions. Parker Navarro, I believe I have this right, Mike, the only quarterback not to take a snap so far this season. And again, Gus said he was running the scout team this week. And sort of replicating the Navy quarterback. So I don't know. I don't know if it bears something to watch or not. Obviously, the Dillon injury throws a lot of this into flux. These could be issues that really kind of pop up next season when guys are making decisions. And obviously, UCF still out recruiting quarterbacks. Castellanos is a guy who's already committed that's coming in. And so I wonder what the morale's like. I wonder what a guy like Quadri, a guy like Parker are kind of thinking like, hey, you know what? We've been here, and then literally two new guys, and both Keene and Gatewood jumped them on the depth chart. To your point, by all accounts, I mean, no issues, and they've been good kids and professional about the whole situation. But, you got to wonder, how's that going to weigh on them both the rest of this year and into the future?
Yeah, I mean, after this year, if Mikey Keene comes in now and he lights the world on fire like we've been saying, you can understand a guy like Parker Navarro is saying, okay, maybe there's no time for me here, and he's going to go find somewhere else to play. That would be understandable. This is it for Quadri, right? I don't know what year. Seems like he's been here forever.
Well, everyone got a free COVID year. I don't really know what. Let me look it up real quick, because I saw somebody ask this question recently too. And what is he listed as? UCF is.
Well, he did transfer.
He did,
right?
But he came back. UCF's listing him as a redshirt junior.
All right.
So
I mean, I can understand.
He was a freshman in 18, a redshirt freshman in 19, a redshirt sophomore in 20, which doesn't really count as a free year. So in theory, he only played 1 season. So if I have this right, he's got 3 more years left of college eligibility.
All right. So if he sees the writing on the wall at the end of this year and he wants to go out and play somewhere else, you could see that too. But to think he's got a shot at the NFL or a pro prospect, by the time he plays those 3 years, he's going to be like 30 years old. So I don't know if that's the future. Maybe he wants to do it just to get the playing time somewhere else. If he's not going to get it here, I could see it happening. He's already transferred out of here once, so I definitely wouldn't be surprised if he did decide to leave.
All right, and last but not least, there's only one thing on the wheel. I'll spin it anyway, even though I know what the answer is going to be, Mike. And the last wheel of issue, tight end production. So obviously a position that we hope that Gus would have an ability to help UCF maybe get a little bit more consistent with. But to date, 3 catches by tight ends, all by Alec Holler. 1 touchdown in the Boise game, Mike. We saw drops by Jay Kescock. We saw what's listed as a drop by Zach Marsh-Wojan. So tight end production, Mike. Little issue, big issue, no issue?
It's a little issue. I mean, we're still putting points up on the board every week. We saw how many points we scored the last couple of years on the hypo without throwing the tight ends basically ever. So it's a little issue. You'd love to have that extra weapon, sure, but if the guys are just dropping the ball, then I'd rather not to throw them.
Great point.
I mean, Hescock dropped an easy touchdown a couple weeks ago. We can't have that. So I'd much rather If these guys can block and get the run game involved, then they're doing their job. That's the number one job probably for them is to pick up the rusher on the outside, chip somebody when they need to, help in blitz protection and stuff like that. Catching the ball is extra. We saw Charlie Browder in the spring game. I thought he was going to come in and make an impact this year. It doesn't seem like he's getting any playing time. Maybe he's just not ready yet. So it's a little issue. I thought we would see a lot more out of it with Gus coming in. Obviously, we haven't. So maybe it'll pick up here in these next few weeks. Maybe now with a new quarterback, somebody that I think like I said, he's going to be rolling him out. Maybe that opens up more chances for the tight end to kind of sneak out over there with him. Maybe we'll see a little bit more from him.
Yeah, I think it's a big issue, and I think it's an issue particularly because it's a new quarterback. The quarterback's best friend is the ability to turn around and have a 6'6" guy standing over the middle by himself that can get him 3 or 4 yards. So I think it could be a big issue that we haven't gotten production out of it because as a defense, it's one thing you don't have to plan for. You don't have to worry about the tight end. You don't have to worry about a guy running routes from that position, right? Obviously, I'm not comparing Hescock or Al Collar to these guys, but you think about the NFL, they've got to think about a Travis Kelce. You got to think about some of these better tight ends. So imagine what a defense would have to do if they know they have to contend for the tight end playing down the middle of the field. And right now, if I'm scouting UCF, I'm like, yeah, let's not worry about the tight end. That's a spot I'm taking away. So I think it's a big issue that we haven't found a way to get these guys more involved and or that they're not able to be productive enough to get involved. What's interesting, if I remember this correctly, I believe it was Mikey Keene throwing to Charlie Browder a lot in the spring game when they were playing on that second team, if you will. So I don't know, maybe there's something there where him and Charlie have a connection and they can work something out, or he can go to Malzahn or Kinney and say, hey, can we get this guy maybe a couple of snaps? I don't know, maybe that's an option, but I think it's a big issue because it doesn't really force a team to have to defend for it, and the times that we've tried it, we can't make it execute. So obviously Gus abandons it. So if you think about how much more lethal we could be if we knew we had that additional weapon that we could use on offense.
Yeah, I always like using the tight end, especially in short yardage and the red zone on a 3rd and 5 when you need them. They're always a good option. We just haven't done it. We said coming into the year, what was the over-under? 24 catches out of the tight ends. Yeah. We only have 3 through 3 games, so we're only on pace for 12 here. Maybe something changes with the new quarterback and the new play calling. We'll have to see this week.
All right, well, that's the Wheel of Issues, Mike. 8 issues. I think some of these are kind of minor. And again, it's hard to tell, are these real issues? It's only been 3 games. Obviously, a lot of things can take place. And so those are the Wheel of Issues. If you have any passion about any of those issues, let us know. We'd be happy to hear your thoughts on it, Mike. But obviously, we'll see how many of these we can get cleaned up heading into the game against Navy. And one of the new things we do around here, Mike, is we tell you what's going to happen before it happens. A little thing we call this week Sunday's headlines today, Mike. So we've already looked into our crystal ball. We know it's going to take place, and if you're going to log on to your devices, read your newspapers the next day, you might see these very headlines right here, Mike. So Sunday's headlines today, based on what'll happen Saturday against Navy. Let's kick it off, Mike. I'll let you go first. What's your first headline? What do you think we're going to see on Sunday?
I got Mikey likes it. The old. Yeah. What was it? A cereal commercial? Mm-hmm. Mikey Keene. Yep. Keene dazzles in debut. I think Mikey Keene's going to go out there and show us all what we've been hoping for these last couple of weeks. Mikey Keene time now. Let's get on.
Well, so we have a lot of the same things apparently. So I have we likey Mikey. Keene's solid in starting debut. I don't think he's going to dazzle. I think he's going to play within himself. Hopefully, it's a game that allows a certain flow. I think he'll make the plays when he needs to make the plays. Again, it's not going to be a high-scoring game by all accounts. Navy just wants to kill the clock and sort of run the ball. So I don't know how many possessions we're going to get. So he may not have a chance to put up a ton of yards and throws and touchdowns. But I think he'll be solid. So I'm going to go with we likey Mikey as my first headline.
Yeah, all right. So we both had Mikey Keene headlines.
We do.
Maybe you got this guy, too.
Yep.
Johnny Rockets blast midshipman.
Okay.
Johnny Richardson, 2 touchdowns for over 50 yards. Some big rocket ship blast. And I expect him to have a big game. I expect him now to be – I know we started Trillian Cole's last game. If Bowser's not going to start this game, I'd like to see Johnny get the first touches of the game.
Yeah, we've got to figure that part out, right? If we're not going to have Bowser, again, I said this a bunch last week on all the shows that we were on. It felt like Gus got a little bit confused when Bowser went out, didn't know what to do with the running game, and almost kind of abandoned it for a period of time. And then, Trillian Coles did a really nice job and played well, but Johnny Rockets, as you call him, came in and just exploded. So who's the guy that's got a hot hand? Who's the guy seeing the holes? Who's the guy making the cutbacks? Let's figure that out early on. Let's not abandon the run. Let's get some of these guys an opportunity. Do we see, Mark Anthony Richards get any run here? So how do we play the run and can Gus stay with it? I think there'll be a big key. I'm all for Johnny Richardson getting those carries, and I think he had 100 yards, really only playing a lot of the fourth quarter. So I'm all in on that if Gus can figure out a way to make it happen.
Yep, and now we got to figure it out. Bowser may not be back for a couple weeks. The way things are sounding, doesn't sound like he's going to be around this week. Who knows when we get him back? So we got to start establishing a go-to running back here.
All right, here's my second headline. Big Cat sinks ships. Bryant and Knights D close down the running game. If we are going to win, Mike, it's going to play largely because we have been able to either shut down or contain the Navy running game. Obviously, we know Big Cat Bryant is going to be a big part of that. Do they run to his side? Do they not run to his side? What happens there? So I think a Big Cat and the rest of that D-line and really that second level are going to be huge. So Big Cat sinks ships is my second headline.
And this is the key to the game. I think if we can't stop the run, then we are in big trouble. They're going to start eating up the clock on us. That is going to be a miserable Saturday if they can do that and control the clock in this game. So we need Big Cat. We need him to get pressure. And anytime the quarterback does drop back to pass, we need him in his face. Maybe get a sack, his first sack of the year.
Big Cat sinks ships.
So would it count as a sack of the quarterback, even though he was running the ball, say he's running the option and he's behind the line and you catch him back there? Is that because he's still able to throw the ball? Is that still a sack? I think
it's I don't know. It's a great question. I don't know if the tackle box comes into play here, right? Because you're right. If they run some sort of sprint option and he gets tackled right by the sideline, is that really a sack? I don't know because it's really a rushing attempt. So I don't know if there needs to be some form of an option to try to pass. You know what I mean? Making a passing motion that counts as a sack. That's a good question. If not, I think it's just a TFL at that point.
All right. Okay. My third headline. On the road again. Gus Bus back on track. We're going back on the road, second game in a row. We obviously lost the first one. This time we got to get our first win of the year, start off conference play the right way, and get this thing, the Gus Bus, rolling again because we got a long way to go now, and these next couple games are going to be huge leading up to the Cincinnati game.
Yeah, this is a game, obviously, Gus said this in his pressers this past couple of weeks. In some respects, after a bad loss, you want to get out right away and you want to play again. But in this case, because of the injuries and sort of where things were at, having the bye week helps out. So hopefully the bad feelings these guys have had after Louisville have stayed with them and they want to come out and be sharp and ready to go. This is not one of those games where you want to kind of fall into a bit of a lull and all of a sudden you're letting Navy hang around and it's third quarter, 17-10, UCF has the lead and we're still battling. Hopefully these guys come out sharp, chip on their shoulder, ready to kind of erase the bad memories of Louisville. With the bye week, it was helpful for injuries, but you don't get to get back right out there and make it happen. And so we'll see how they respond. But I'd love for them to be able to respond quickly and put this thing away quickly.
Yeah, this has to be a game where we win comfortably, get guys back into that winning feeling, which we haven't had now with the bye week for a couple weeks. So we got to get that taste, the losing taste out of our mouths and get back on the right side of the win column.
All right, my final headline, Mike. Lee anchors line. All conference setter returns for the Knights and pays dividends. I think, you mentioned earlier having Matt Lee back while the offensive line played okay against Louisville. I mean, there's a couple of gaffes, the final play, the interception, obviously there's a coverage breakdown. So they played fairly well. You got to tip your hat to Cole Schneider, who never played a game of center before and played the entire game and played pretty well. Adrian Medley comes in, steps in and takes for Cole. But having Matt Lee back is such a great opportunity. Obviously, he's a guy, I don't think he's given up a sack all season from from the center position at this point. How him and Mikey have a rapport will be interesting as well. How much time have they spent together? Obviously, Dylan and Matt Lee played together a ton, so having a veteran guy, even though he's only in the second year, who's played pretty much every snap the last season plus so far, can he and Mikey Keene get on the same page quickly and be able to make an impact? But I think having him back is huge for the Knights, so I'm going to say that Lee anchors the line on his return to the Knights this week.
Yeah, and this allows Cole Schneider to move back to his natural position. It helps everybody get into a better spot for themselves. And if Lee's going to be here for a while, which he should be, he's got 3 more years out this year and another 2 years. If Mikey Keene's going to be the quarterback, they've got 3 years to really build something together. This could be a key part of the offense this year.
It could be. Let's see how many. I feel like we've done a pretty good job on guessing some of these headlines. Now, granted, these aren't hard to do sometimes, but I feel like we've gotten pretty close in these headlines. So we'll keep track of these next week on the show, and we'll tell you guys how close we got to having some of these correct, Mike. But before we do that, do we want to talk about Paper and Lace? You want to tell people more? I mean, I know you were out on a cruise ship. I mean, you were probably with a lot of wonderful people. Maybe some people got engaged on that cruise ship, Mike. Maybe they're walking around and they're like, yeah, I'm so glad we got married. What do we do next, Mike? If they only knew about Paper and Lace Boutique, this could make their lives a lot easier.
That's right. And call my sister. Go to her website. Go to her Instagram page, paperandlaceboutique.com. Check out all the lovely invitations. I already mentioned in the last couple of weeks. Last Thursday when we were recording our live show, our friend Raphael, the guy that runs the Alumni Association down here, he told me his wife and his mother-in-law, they were on the website. As he was watching the show, they were on the website looking at wedding invitations. She's opening up her own office, which she's been working out of her home for the last couple of years. I went by the office that she's about to have. It's nice, man. She's got a real nice setup. She makes everything there herself. Go in there. You can make an appointment if you're local. If not, like I said, she serves anywhere in the country. She can ship to anywhere. Actually, her very first order ever was somebody in Australia. Service them. She's worldwide.
Yeah.
So even if you're listening to us overseas, don't be afraid. You get engaged.
Don't be afraid.
You pop the question. You're going to get married soon. You have to have these invitations. You will not find nicer invitations. I guarantee you that. And you're going to have this big event. This is probably the biggest event of your life. You're not going to send people some rinky-dink invitations. You got to let these people know what they're coming to is going to be a spectacular event, and it all starts with that wedding invitation. Paperandlaceboutique.com. Check them out today.
Michelle does fantastic work. I think, Mike, the deal's still going on, right? Mentioned Sons of UCF, and maybe you get a little 10% off situation. Is that accurate?
Definitely. Call them. You go there, you contact her. Let her know you heard it here from Sons of UCF. Her brother Mike sent you 10% off your first order.
Paperandlaceboutique.com. That's what you're going to do when you need wedding invitations. What you don't need an invitation for, is the next segment, Mike. That's the picks. I don't know how we did. I've not looked. I'm actually scared to look, but you're going to tell us all how we did. That's coming up next. This is the Sons of UCF.
Okay, Sons of UCF, both of you, you are the father.
All right, he may have been off sampling different beverages to fill out his Booze Cruise top 5, but that does not mean that Mike was not keeping a close eye on the scores, because you all know how much he really enjoys his picks. You know how much he enjoys the pool tracker and trying to retain his crown as the winner, Mike. So this is the weekly pick segment. Mike picks a couple of games. Usually they have something to do with the conference or some sort of a tie to UCF. He'll tell you what's gonna happen, who's gonna win, and we'll also update the pool tracker, Mike, which is the bracket style sort of tournament situation that we're all in. You pick the games each week. Most points obviously takes the lead. I have not checked. So do you want to update us? How are things looking with the pool tracker? Who's doing what? How is it all shaking out?
Not going as smoothly as last year, I must say. I have a losing record in the pool tracker. Had a rough week this week, going 2-7 myself.
Yikes. So
I'm 21-24 overall for the year over in the pool tracker. Still not that far behind. So I'm, like I mentioned, I'm 21-24. The leader is 26-19, and I'm 5 behind them. You're right there in second place overall, 25-20. So you're in striking distance for this hat, my friend.
Mm.
And that
I can't wait for that.
and the Citronaut Polo,
Oh.
not Polo. I'm sorry, the hoodie.
Yeah.
Which you're in possession of right now. You don't have the
It's
military.
like I've already won. Look at that.
There you go. I think it fits you too. I passed Trace this week. He did even worse than me, I believe. I think maybe we tied, but I'm a game ahead of him. He's at 20 and 25. The leader in the clubhouse right now is a guy named Knight Walker. He's the guy that said he's 26 and 19. Still a long way to go. Still a bunch of weeks to play. So not out of it yet. We need to start picking things up. I had a better week this week than I had the week before. The week before on the show I was 0 and 3. This past week I went 1 and 2. I actually won a game. I won the SMU TCU game. I lost the Cows and BYU. Nobody saw that coming. Nobody saw the Cows actually putting up a fight. And I lost Houston Navy. The Navy looked like trash the first 2 weeks. After a bye week, maybe put something a little together. We'll see this week if they can make it 2 weeks in a row of competitive football. So overall for the season on my show picks, I'm 3, 8, and 1. So
Yikes.
I'm due. I am due.
Well, you're not as bad. So going through this pool tracker list, by the way, so obviously we have, looks like 70-something people, 78 people that signed up. But it looks like at least, I don't know, 65, at least 14 of them are not participating. So at that point, we're down to like 63 people, Mike. The 63rd person by the name of Bad Santa appears to be picking, because he's got this, or he or she has the same number of games, 2 and 43 on the year. And it appears to actually be trying. I don't really know. Frosty Junction right above him with 5 and 40. Lansam also at 5 and 40. So some people really struggling here on the year, Mike. But kudos to the top guys. It looks like within shouting distance, our good friend Mario Lonely Bumblebee is right outside looking in with 2 games back right now. Stat boy Drew Glukov from the Banneret looks like he's 3 games back. Our good friend UCF MSU Clemson, who we've not talked about or heard from in a while, she is also 3 games back. UCF Eric, who I think maybe Elo, he's 4 games back. UCF Selena, she is 4 games back, and then obviously you are right there as well with Trace pulling up behind you. So some interesting stuff. Still a lot of time on the board, Mike. Let's. You're going to give people an insight though what you're going to do this week. What are your picks looking like? Who do you have? What have you called out? Give us the lowdown.
Yeah, first of all, Elo, I thought doing a little trash talking, comparing me and Trace combined scores to him and Glukov over at the Banneret. Interesting that he picked Trace, because if he picks me and you, I think we're beating him and Glukov.
Oh.
So I think if this works out like in college where you get to drop your lowest score, I think we're dropping Trace's score. So let's see how it goes in a few weeks there, Elo. Right?
Oh.
Keep your hat on for a second.
All right.
All right.
Can he take us on to UCF? I think he's fine with that, right? Is there any sort of conflict of interest there?
I think I was supposed to send him one for doing that video of my daughter playing softball.
Way to go. Way to go. We always hold up our end of the bargain around here.
I only have about 2 hats left, so one of them is going into this pool. So we'll see. All right. Game number 1, crank up the clown music, because that's what my picks have been so far this last few weeks. I've got Memphis minus 11.5 at Temple. The Owls actually have a couple of wins this season. I didn't expect them to win too many games. They beat Akron 45-24. They beat the mighty Wagner Seahawks this past week 41-7. Can they be on to something here? They did get blown out by Rutgers to start the year 61-14, and they lost to Boston College 28-3. So anytime they play a team with a pulse, they have not fared well. Memphis seems to have a decent pulse. Well, Memphis started off the season 3-0. And they beat Mississippi State a couple weeks ago. We thought, hey, maybe these guys are even better than we thought they would be, because I didn't expect much out of them coming into the year.
Not so fast.
Then they lose. They lose at home to UTSA. That's Texas San Antonio, who, by the way, is undefeated still.
Are they the Roadrunners? Is that their nickname?
Yeah, the Roadrunners. They're in conference play. They may not lose any games, this UTSA. I remember they started off their program not too long ago. Was Larry Coker?
Larry Coker, yeah, very good.
Coach?
Yeah. Wow, look at you. Yeah.
So they haven't been around for too long. Maybe this is their best team ever. They're about to make a run, but still, Memphis losing that game at home, not a good look for them. I haven't been high on either one of these teams all year. I've been picking against both of them on the show here. Something's got to give. I have to pick one of them. It's an early kick, 12 o'clock in Temple. I think maybe that helps the home team a little bit. Maybe Memphis comes in reeling a little bit from their last week's performance. I think the Tigers come in a little sloppy to start. I think they keep it close. Memphis still comes away with the win, but 11.5 points is a lot. I say Memphis wins 31-24. Give me Temple with the 11.5 points.
Yeah, I concur. I think a home game for Temple. They're much improved. Obviously, they had a rough year last year. I think they traveled to UCF with like 50 players or something like that. So definitely, to your point, I don't know what to expect out of them this year. They've played better than I think we hoped. Memphis may be a bit of an opportunity to salvage their season. They may get the W, but I don't think they cover that. So I'm in your camp on that one, Mike. Give me Temple.
All right, that makes me feel better.
All right, good.
Game number 2, the Cows of West Tampa, South Tampa, wherever these people are located, nobody even knows.
They don't even know.
They're getting 20.5 points at SMU. I hate to say it, but the Cows offense looks like it's improved a little bit the last couple of weeks. They've put up 65 points. I know 38 of those are against FAMU, but they even scored last week against BYU, putting up 27 points, made it a little close there at the end. They may have found their quarterback of the future, Timmy McClain. Looks like he can do something back there. I mean, he's not going crazy, but he's not turning the ball over. He's not costing them points or anything. And we know about SMU. Their quarterback, Tanner Mordecai, lit up TCU last week, 4 touchdowns. He also threw 3 interceptions in that game. So he's a bit of a gunslinger, this kid seems like. The Mustangs have had a couple close wins the last couple of weeks. They had a miracle against Louisiana Tech 2 weeks ago. And then this game against TCU, winning by a touchdown. I think they're due for a couple of comfortable wins coming up here. And it starts now with the Cows, and then they get Navy next week. I see SMU putting up a bunch of points and the Cows not being able to keep up. Something to the tune of 53-20. I'll lay the 20.5 points at home. Give me the Mustangs to cover over the Cows.
Rule number 1, you never bet on the Cows. I have not done that all season. Every time they have a game, I go the opposite way, no matter what the spread is. So I agree with this one as well. Mike, SMU is playing really well. That TCU game was on the road. As you mentioned, Tanner Mordecai is definitely having a good season. And that offense certainly can go. And Mike, they put up 56, 35, 39, and 42 points. So they're going to score some points. I don't know if the Cows can play enough defense to keep them off the scoreboard, and I don't know if they have enough offense. Again, to your point, even though they scored 27 against the BYU Cougars and 30 against FAMU, I throw out the FAMU 38 because what does that really look like? So can they really keep up and score to keep up with a high-octane team? I don't think so. You throw in a turnover or two, and all of a sudden SMU is planting the flag at their own stadium this time. So give me SMU.
Yeah, the Cows did score 20 on the Gators, too. I don't know if that counts.
Garbage time.
All right. Okay, so we're aligned now in the first 2 picks. We got Temple over Memphis. We got SMU over the Cows. Game number 3, the game of the week in the American Conference. We've been waiting for this one. Cincinnati minus 2.5 at Notre Dame. The Bearcats have been taking care of business so far this year. TCOB. They've been getting the job done. I know they didn't look great to start. What was the Division II school that they struggled with in the half a couple weeks ago, but still won big. They didn't look great to start off the game at Indiana, but still came away with a big victory there. They're doing what they need to do. Meanwhile, Notre Dame, they had their first impressive win of the season this past week at Wisconsin, winning 41-13. But they were not impressive at all to me in their first 3 games of the season. Cincinnati coming into this game, number 7 in the AP poll. Next week, the number 5 team, Iowa, and the number 4 team, Penn State, play against each other. Somebody's got to lose that one. Iowa's actually got a decent matchup on the road against undefeated Maryland this week. It's possible maybe both those teams lose before we play Cincinnati. Cincinnati could be high as a top 5 team by the time our matchup comes in a couple weeks. That would be the highest regular season win in UCF history if we can pull it off. The highest right now is Louisville in 2013. They were ranked number 8. The highest ranked win we ever had was against Baylor in the Fiesta Bowl. They were ranked number 6. Of course, Auburn was ranked number 7 in the Peach Bowl a couple years ago. I think Cincinnati wins this one. I think they go on the road. if there's a season where a group of 5 team can sneak into the playoff, this is the one, right? We talked about the ACC and how they've struggled. No guarantee they're getting a team into the playoff. The Pac-12 not look great either outside of Oregon. Maybe they slip up somewhere down the road. This could be the chance for Cincinnati to be the darlings. We already see how the media loves them, but at least up until the UCF game, this is the biggest game. And then if we can have a chance to knock off a top 10 team, top 5 team, that's all we can ask for right now. Give me Cincinnati to cover the 2.5, go into Notre Dame. I'm not saying they win big, but they win something like 26-21.
This is an interesting one. Notre Dame's offensive line is dreadful. They cannot block anybody. Their quarterback, Jack Cohn, got hurt in the game against Wisconsin. I don't know if he's playing. I'm not sure if that's been decided yet. But here's an interesting wrinkle, Mike. The defensive coordinator for Notre Dame is Marcus Freeman, who the last couple seasons had been at Cincinnati. So if anybody knows how to potentially slow down this offense and maybe make things difficult for Desmond Ridder and company, you would have to think that Marcus Freeman would be that guy. You should have some intimate knowledge on how to do that. So I suspect Notre Dame will potentially have the opportunity to scheme up some things that maybe make it interesting or difficult for Ridder, knowing what his strengths are. But then it boils down to, can the Irish offense muster up anything as well where they've struggled? I think this is one of those rock fight style games. But you're right. I wouldn't be surprised if Cincinnati doesn't pull this thing outright or even win by a point, right? If this is a 21-20 type of a game or a 17-14 Cincinnati win, I wouldn't be shocked. As I definitely think that they have enough firepower to win the game. Notre Dame has won, but I don't know if they've looked impressive. This is their chance, though, to do just that. Again, it's a home game for them in Notre Dame, and so we'll see. But I wonder how much Marcus Freeman, knowing the Cincinnati offense, can really play a role. Because if Notre Dame can make a play on defense, let's say they get a turnover, a pick six, that could really be the differentiator. So I think Cincinnati probably wins this game. I think I picked them in the pool tracker this week. But to me, the X factor is really on the defensive side. How much does Notre Dame do to control that? And can Notre Dame's offense do any stinking thing to actually move the ball?
Yeah, I think Notre Dame actually opened the week as a 1-point favorite, and that line has moved in the other direction now to Cincinnati being favored. That's a big step for the Bearcats here. If they can pull this one off, they're in prime position, I think, if they run the table, to maybe be the first ever to make the playoff here, 14 playoff. I don't know. We'll see. Hopefully, I'm rooting for them to win this game. I don't think it does anything but help us if they win this game.
Yeah, 2:30. It's the traditional Notre Dame kickoff time, 2:30 NBC. So you can watch about an hour or so of that and then flip over and check out UCF Navy. If you want a split screen or dual screen, get that second TV working. I don't know if you have the Peacock Network, which is where Notre Dame stuff is usually played at, but you can maybe watch that stuff on there, Mike. But so those are the picks. So I think you and I aligned in all three. Not sure if I'm feeling good about where that leaves me. But either way, those are the picks. Again, for those in the pool tracker, make sure you're keeping yourself in the running. Make sure you're picking every week. You never know what can happen. I get a lot of people within shouting distance to get that Sons of UCF hat and that awesome Cintronaut hoodie donated by our friend Chet Bortz, who we met at the tailgate, Mike. So a generous gift by Chet for the winner of the pool tracker. So that's what we got there. Those are picks. Coming up next, we pick cows. More picking continues. Don't go anywhere. We are the Sons of UCF.
This is UCF Athletic Director Terry Mahajri, and in my spare time, when I'm not on TikTok, I'm listening to Adam and Mike on the Sons of UCF. Go Knights and charge on!
Moo moo, it's the cow time, Mike. Each week, we tell you somebody, something, a group of people, who knows, that did something that we think is funny, idiotic, stupid, whatever. Very lovingly named after our friends over there in Temple Terrace, the Cows. We call it Cow of the Week, Mike. I always let you do the honors. And typically you decide about a moment before I hit record. So who do you have this week? What's the last minute decision you've gone with for your Cow of the Week selection?
NFL officials.
Here we are.
So, NFL officials playing a role in deciding games now all of a sudden, which they've done forever. But a couple new things I haven't seen before. One, an official throws a penalty flag, hits the ball with it, alters the ball a little bit, nearly causes a turnover in the Jaguars-Arizona game. If you haven't seen this, Jaguars are punting away to Arizona. Arizona guy is sitting back, about to make a fair catch or play the punt. And the referee throws a penalty flag, hits the ball. The ball then bounces off the Arizona punt returner, and then it bounces about 20 feet away. They have a big scrum for it. Luckily, Arizona recovers the ball themselves. But what are you doing as a referee throwing a penalty flag anywhere near the returner or the ball itself? I mean, you have the whole field to play with. It's basically the punt returner and the referee back there. He could have thrown the flag anywhere. He throws it straight at the punt returner and the football, hits the football. I've never seen that before. We've seen a referee hit a player in the eye with a penalty flag before. And Orlando Brown, did he go blind? Is he able to see it yet still? Or
it's a great question.
Was a bad injury,
I think when you go blind, you go blind, actually.
I mean,
yeah.
You can go blind for a couple seconds and then get your vision back. But I don't know whatever happened with that. I don't even know if he can still see properly. And now you got this. When are we going to evolve? Why can't we just be like soccer? Doesn't soccer have official where they just have a flag in their hand and they stick the flag up in the air and you know that there's a penalty or is that a bounce or something like that? Why can't the NFL do that? Why are we throwing flags still in 2021?
Well, yeah, that or just, turn around and throw it away from that, right? Like, where the play's at. Like, this was a sideline play, so he could have literally turned around and chucked it in towards the end zone, where no one was at that point in time, and still obviously signaled that he threw his flag. I know that I think they try to throw in the vicinity. I don't know if that helps the broadcasters or whatever, but yeah, you could have figured out a different way to throw or do what soccer does. Just raise your hand with a flag, for crying out loud.
Yeah, that's what I just said. Just raise your hand. But do we even need the flag on the field? I mean, just at the end of the play, blow the whistle. I don't know. So it seems like there's got to be a better way to do it.
Yeah, you need the flag. You need some sign, because when your team is playing and all of a sudden they break a long one and you're like, oh my God, no. And then you're like, oh, a flag. Is that a flag? And then you see there's an excitement. So you need something mid-play to get you back to sanity when your team is just about to get housed for something, so it doesn't really count. So I need some marker, something that tells me something. That way I don't lose my mind during a play.
Yeah, but it happens the other way, where you see the flag come out. Your team is the one that had the big play, and you sit right back down. And it's not going to
exactly. I don't want to. Yeah, I get my heart broken a little sooner than waiting and celebrating and jumping up and down, and all of a sudden the ref's like, by the way, I blew my whistle. Like, I don't need that. So give me some sort of a marker. Again, if you want to raise a flag like a soccer official, I mean, I guess throwing it on the field doesn't make a lot of sense. I don't know. Put shock collars on everybody and shock the guy who did the wrong thing. I don't do whatever you want to do, but or just throw the flag in the different direction. It's not that hard.
Exactly. This was a play on the sideline. You could have thrown it to the complete opposite sideline. We still would have known there was a flag, and it wouldn't have affected.
And do they have to throw it? Can't they just set it down? You know what I mean? Like, why do they have to throw it with such vigor? Just drop it on the ground. Just like a lot of coaches in the challenge flags, they just drop the red flag on the ground. Just drop the flag. That's all. Drop it.
That's right. Yeah. Drop it right next to your own foot.
Yeah, right there. Just drop it right there.
You won't be in the way of anybody. And then, of course, in the Lions-Baltimore game, they blew it at the end of that one. The Ravens win with a record 68-yard field goal that should probably never have been attempted because there was a delay game or a false start?
Delay game. So the play clock clearly expired on Lamar Jackson. He probably got an extra free second. Ultimately, it didn't matter. He threw the ball out of bounds, but in theory, he should have been back 5 yards. I think it was a 66-yarder, so I think that would have been about a 71-yarder at that point that he would have had to have tried to convert. So probably should have. Now, in theory, you could say that if they got bumped back 5 yards, they still had some time on the clock. They could have run one more play, but maybe they don't get time to get the kickoff. Delay game is one of the easier things to look at. You look down, see the clock. You look down, see the ball. If they're not congruent, you throw the flag or set it down, whatever you want to do.
Is there no 10-second runoff on that situation too at the end of the game?
That's a good question. I don't know. It could be. I don't know how much time was that, but in theory, it could be, yeah. And that kick, by the way, I mean, that thing bounced straight up off the crossbar. And the TV was perfect because you couldn't see the angle, so it hit the crossbar and it all of a sudden it's up in the air, and then it just it falls in the back of the net. So for a split second, you're like, wait, is this thing just up in the air? Like, is it going to fall over? And so it was quite a dramatic moment. Poor Lions fans. How do you become a Lions fan? I don't even understand what happens to you. I apologize for all the Lions fans out there, but I don't know how that happens to you.
You're born in Detroit is my first guess.
Yeah, it's probably or nearby. Yeah.
Yeah, these guys have been suffering for a long time. I feel bad for them because the Lions have never been good, and obviously they had a couple days there with Barry Sanders when we were kids, but never really have they been very good at all. I'm getting a taste of it now with my Giants. They could have easily been cows of the week this week too. They were terrible, losing to the Falcons. I mean, the Falcons hadn't scored a point in the fourth quarter all year, and they come in, tie the game, take the lead, game over, good night. Second week in a row, you lose on a last-second field goal. I don't even want to get into those guys. But NFL officials, I know Major League Baseball, they had their problem with the referee, the umpires. I made them cows, I think, earlier this season. So now it's the NFL's turn. And professional sports, man, there's so much riding on these games. The officiating should not be as bad as it is.
Really, the only good thing going for your Giants is that Eli Manning is fantastic on that Manning cast. You haven't caught any of that yet, have you?
No, I have not.
He hit the double birds last night. He threw 2 middle fingers while describing the Eagles fans live on the TV. He's fantastic. That entire, even though I am a Cowboys fan, I decided to watch the Manning cast, and I was thoroughly entertained. Those two guys, that's a fun little watch. Particularly, again, if you're a really hardcore of a fan of a team, it's probably not for you. But if you're just kind of like, hey, I don't really care about the Saints and the Bengals or whatever, it's actually pretty entertaining to watch. So Eli Manning, he may be the star of that, Mike. So your Giants have something going for him.
You want me to give you top 5 Eli Manning plays of all
time? do you have those? I don't have my sound ready. If you have them, I'm ready for them.
I wasn't really ready for
them. Okay, we'll do it next week then. You take your time. I want these lists to be correct.
It's Manningham, then Super Bowl 46. You got the David Tyree play. You got Plaxico Burress touchdown.
Yeah.
A couple of Victor Cruz touchdowns in there too.
I remember the play when he killed the Cowboys in the opening of Jerry World.
Yeah. How about a Hail Mary against the Packers in the playoffs right before halftime? That was a big win. How about him beating Brett Favre in Lambeau Field in the playoffs? A lot of big moments out of Eli.
I mean, him giving the double middle finger may actually be right up in that top 5 as well, Mike. So my cow of the week, I'm going to an old friend of ours, Mike, Mr. Scott Frost and his Nebraska Cornhuskers. Not sure if you followed this game. Obviously, you didn't because you were on a large vessel in the middle of the ocean. But Michigan State ended up beating them 23-20 in overtime. And here's what was happening. Nebraska was lined up to punt. It was about 4:02 left in the game. They're ahead by a touchdown. And Michigan State did the sort of a trick sort of play. They ran out 2 return men, one on each side of the field. And as soon as the kick got in the air, the guy on one side came running towards it and threw his hand in the air, called fair catch. All the Michigan State guys ran towards him. But guess what? The ball actually went to the other side of the field. So the other Michigan State kid caught it, and he ran all the way down the field for a 62-yard touchdown that ended up scoring the game. So Michigan State kind of fools Nebraska and Frost on the fake punt there, or the trick punt return. To make things even better, Frost doubled down after the game and said, by the way, that's not what happened because my punter kicked it to the wrong side of the field. He was supposed to kick it to one side. He kicked it to the other side. And so he essentially blames the loss on his poor punter and saying he kicked it to the wrong side where they didn't have the coverage. Either way, Frost loses again 23-20. In all reality, Mike, Nebraska could probably be a 3-win team this year, maybe even a 4-win team, but they've had so many issues, so many gaffes. And then I heard this on the radio. I don't know if it's true. I guess I could look it up. They've had a bunch of issues Nebraska has on special teams, punting and field goal kicking and extra points. Apparently, they don't have a special teams coach. I don't know if that's true. I don't know how that works out. But everything involved in that, Michigan State just fooling them. There was another great fake. I don't know if you saw the fake kickoff return play. It was on the Thursday night game where they fake like they're doing an end around, but the guy who had it took it all the way down the sideline. I like these fake special teams plays. I like it even better when Nebraska falls for it. So Nebraska, you are my cow of the week for falling for the fake play and then having your coach blame it on the poor punter.
What is Nebraska's record? They're 1-3?
Yeah, no, I think they won 2 games.
So they're 2-2 maybe.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to check that out. Yeah.
I don't know what to tell you about Frost. Like you said, I did not follow that game at all. I didn't even know who they played, to be honest. But
they're 2-2. Sorry. 2-2. They beat Fordham throughout the records there, and they beat the Buffalo Bulls, and then they lost to Oklahoma and now Michigan State.
All right. And I imagine they still got some tough games on the schedule here. Maybe a 500 team, Nebraska. Who knows how this season plays out? I don't know if there's any bowl games where we're matched up against Big Ten teams, right? But you never know with these bowl selections. They can always mix things around. It'd be interesting. It'd be interesting to play Nebraska in a bowl game maybe this year. You never know.
Yeah, you never know. You never know. They're going to have a tough row ahead because they're 2-2 already. They play Northwestern. Then they go through Michigan, which could be a loss. Then they have Minnesota, Purdue. Then they close with Ohio State, Wisconsin, and Iowa. So 3 games down the stretch there that you would think would be tough to lose. Mike, my secondary cow of the week. Do you know who Jordan Clarkson is?
No.
All right, he is a basketball player for the Utah Jazz. Are you familiar with Utah?
I've been there, yes.
Great. Not a large city, probably not a large there's no other professional sports team except for I think there's a soccer franchise in Utah. So a reporter was doing like a man on the street interview situation, came up to Jordan Clarkson, asked him his name. Now he plays for the Utah Jazz, by the way. He is a point guard for the Utah Jazz. Comes up to him and says, "Hey, we're doing an interview about Utah Jazz. Are you interested? Would you talk to us?" He says, "Sure." She says, "Tell me your name." He says, "Jordan Clarkson." She says, "Spell it for me." He spells it out. And then she goes, "How many Jazz games have you been to this last year?" And he said, "Pretty much all of them." And she had no clue he actually played on the team until a half hour after the actual interview. So this poor lady, I feel bad. She may be a cow of the week as well. It's actually pretty funny if you watch it. It's all over the place on Twitter.
Well, I probably would have been guilty of the same thing because I have no idea who this guy is. I have no idea what he looks like. It would just been another tall guy to me walking around Utah. So
wouldn't that be a red flag right there? Tall guy walking around Utah. Wouldn't that have been a bit of a That's interesting.
Yeah, I mean, how many years has this guy been in the league?
8 to 10.
Really, that long?
Yeah, he played for the Lakers for a handful of years. He played for I think he played for Cleveland, and then now with the Jazz.
Yeah, well, that just shows you how much I follow the NBA.
And I believe he dated a Kardashian. I can't quote. Don't quote me on that.
Well, that's the only way that people probably would actually know the name.
That's also fair.
But yeah, I'm not the person to ask on this one. I didn't know Giannis was black until after about 3 years of him in the league. I just heard Greek freak. I always assumed the guy from Greece was white. So it took me a while to find that one out.
All right. I mean, there's no better way to close the show than Mike making some huge revelations on the 2-time NBA MVP. But either way, look, it's been a fantastic look. It's a bye-week edition, not a lot going on. Hopefully we at least gave you some insight on what's happening. And again, full steam ahead. The season starts Saturday. Conference play. UCF has all the goals in front of it. And so it can really be the springboard. The Mikey Keene era begins. Hopefully we'll see some good things out of Mikey and throw all our support around him. Mike, I know you, me, Trace Trelko, I'm sure we'll cover all this in greater detail Thursday night on the live show. That's 8 p.m. That's on Twitter. That's on Facebook. That's on YouTube. It's on twonightsmedia.com. So make sure you are checking that out and you are following us there. I have no idea who's on the show, Mike, but it's always a good time when we get together on Thursday nights.
Yeah, I never knew who was on the show until usually around Thursday morning.
Yes, same. Yeah.
Maybe it's Nick Petty again. Who knows? That guy seems to be on the show a lot. So you never know.
Was he breaking down? There's nothing to break down. I'm not really sure. I mean, I hope he is. I like Nick. Seems like a really nice guy.
Yeah, Nick maybe now is the most frequent guest. He's been on the live show twice, and he's been on this show. That's 3. Who's got the record here? Schneider's been on a few different times. We had at least 3 times with Schneider, right? Once with the live show, once with the 20-year anniversary, and once with a regular interview. Yeah. That's 3. We had a couple guys on twice. We had regular interviews, and then come back on 1 year when we did the picks, where we had special guests. I know, like Dexter Lyons has been on twice, and guys like that. We did repeat guests like that. I don't know if anybody's ever been 4 times on any of our shows.
Yeah, I don't. Even some of the guys we've had on, Brandon, Jason Beatty. I mean, they were on a bunch of the pregame shows. Beatty, I want to say, could be at like the 3 mark. Because I know we had him on a pregame show. I know we had him on a live show. I know we had him on the pod once. But if we're counting just athletes, just actually players, I don't think we've gotten to a 4 spot just yet.
All right. So maybe Nick Petty sets a new record on Thursday night. You never know. Tune in and find out.
Tune in. Again, make sure you're following us wherever you do social media stuff. We are available on all of those different platforms. Mike, fun week coming up ahead. It's always good to get the conference play kicked off. A nice early kick for everybody, 3:30 Saturday. We'll be back on the pod edition on Monday, Tuesday to break all that down for you. And again, the live show again next week as well, as we kind of get a little bit closer to what's going to be maybe the game of the year so far. But let's get these first two out of the way before we do anything else. So everybody, you guys have a fantastic week out there. Hope everybody does wonderful things. We can't wait to see you guys on Thursday. Thanks for all your support. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Thanks for following, subscribing, and leave a review. Mike's getting a little antsy, so maybe throw a little review in there. What do you think, Mike?
That'd be nice. Positive reviews we prefer. I mean, there was one jackwagon on there that didn't seem to like Trace for whatever reason.
Yeah.
But all the other reviews have been great. So let's see. It'd be nice to get a couple new ones on there. It's been a while.
Really disappointed you didn't go with ass clown as the way to describe that individual. But you can learn more about that on the Sons of UCF Live. Until then, everybody have a great week. We will talk to you soon. Go Knights!
Charge on.